In my home office, converted from an apartment room, I was immersed in designing a new logo. It's been 3 years since I started working as a freelance designer, specializing in corporate branding. While clients praise my work, it's not enough to fill the void in my heart. Next to my desk sits a photo of my daughter, April. Her 12-year-old face beaming with a bright smile. Every time my eyes drift to that photo during work, I'm struck by an overwhelming sense of loss. The white-themed room has erased all traces of what was once a child's bedroom. Work tools arranged meticulously, clothes folded neatly, floors spotless. This almost obsessive cleanliness has been my habit since that day. The same goes for my monthly visits to the cemetery on the 15th. Though no one forces me to go, I can't bring myself to miss it. Looking back, my marriage to Gregory 10 years ago seemed like a dream. Our days began with April's laughter in our newly built house. From her birth to her first words, kindergarten enrollment, and elementary school sports days. On weekends, the three of us would go to the shopping mall and share April's favorite red velvet cupcakes. This happiness began to change after Gregory's promotion. Late-night overtime, weekend work, overseas business trips. Time with family gradually diminished. The tragedy struck suddenly on August 15, 2019. April vanished on her way home from school. The police investigation revealed everything: her usual route home, parting with friends, her subsequent movements. The security camera captured her last moments crossing the crosswalk. We posted flyers all over town and continued searching with volunteers. 3 days later, they found her shoe and blood traces near the river. When I heard the DNA test results, something broke inside me irreparably. The death declaration came a year later, ending my relationship with Gregory too. He tried to bury his grief in work, while I chose to pursue the truth. When we should have supported each other, we faced different directions. Now, I try to find purpose in my design work. Client meetings, chasing deadlines. These are necessary rituals to keep me grounded in reality. But something, call it maternal instinct, keeps screaming deep inside my heart. The strange feeling from that day, the unnatural circumstantial evidence, and the hope that never fades. That's why I keep standing at April's grave every 15th of the month. As I stare at her name carved in stone, I continue seeking answers to what this mother's intuition means. The autumn leaves cast dappled shadows on the quiet cemetery. On this chilly October morning, I was making my usual monthly visit to April's grave. Thin clouds drifted across the sky, and occasional cold winds stirred the fallen leaves. In my hands, I held a bouquet of pink gerberas, her favorite flowers. The elderly florist always picks out the best blooms, saying, "These are the colors April loved." My footsteps on the cemetery's stone path echo strangely in the silence. Faint birdsong and distant traffic sounds float through the air. The path to April's resting place is lined with autumn-colored trees, as if guiding me forward. I trace the words, "Beloved daughter April," carved on the gravestone, as I always do. While carefully wiping the stone with a soft cloth, I speak to my daughter. "Mama's here again today." Deep sorrow wells up with those words. My distorted reflection shows in the stone's surface as I wipe it. "You know, April, I made toast with strawberry jam this morning, your favorite. When I smelled the bread toasting, I could almost hear you running in saying, 'That smells so good.'" My voice trembles. The lady at the ice cream shop you used to visit on your way home from school still remembers you. She asked, "How is that lovely young lady doing?" I arranged the fresh flowers in the cleaned gravestone vase, replacing the old ones and changing the water. The morning sun shines through the small vase, making the water sparkle. These repeated monthly actions have become my ritual. My hands move with deep love as I work silently. The grief of losing my daughter hasn't diminished at all in these 5 years. If anything, as time passes, I feel the magnitude of her absence more acutely. That's when I noticed something was different. There was something white visible behind the gravestone. At first, I thought it was just paper blown by the wind, but looking closer, I saw it was an envelope. It was wedged in securely. This wasn't something that had landed there by chance. Someone had deliberately placed it there. I caught my breath. What was this strange feeling? The back of the gravestone, a place I never look at normally. Why had my eyes been drawn there today? As if something was guiding me. My hands are shaking. This envelope, who? I look around, but there's no one in sight in the early morning cemetery. Only the sound of wind breaks the silence. My fingertips feel ice cold as they touch the envelope. A chill runs down my spine. This is a premonition that something big is about to change. The daily routine that hasn't changed in 5 years feels like it's about to crumble. This intuition makes my whole body tremble. Taking a deep breath, I slowly remove the envelope. There's nothing written on the outside. A pristine envelope without a single crease. My hands shake uncontrollably as I try to open it. My heart pounds so hard I can hear my pulse in my ears. But there's no turning back now. When I break the seal, a single photograph falls out. At first, I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing. My mind refused to accept the reality before my eyes. The photo shows April. Unmistakably, my daughter. But this isn't her from 5 years ago. She's grown taller, with longer hair. While retaining traces of her younger self, she's clearly matured. Wearing a simple white dress, with the same smile as before. And most crucially, the date on the photo, just 1 week ago. On the back, in my daughter's familiar handwriting, to Mom. I am alive. Each stroke of that handwriting shakes my heart violently. April's distinctive way of writing. There's no mistake, these are her letters. The photo slips from my hands. My knees nearly give out, and I have to lean against the gravestone for support. April is alive. My voice sounds distant, as if coming from far away. It feels like a dream, a moment devoid of reality. Strength drains from my entire body. Still, I desperately try to grasp the reality before me. Is this real, or is it a hallucination born from grief? I try to understand the situation with my confused mind. Is the photo real? Is this a cruel prank? But that handwriting is undeniably April's. The maternal intuition I've trusted for 5 years screams that this is the truth. Various thoughts swirl in my head. Standing up on trembling legs, I look around once more. Is anyone watching, monitoring? This discovery can't be known. Yes, I can't go to the police right away. If April really is alive, my actions might put her in danger. From years of experience, I know the police won't act quickly. Stay calm. I need to think calmly. I take a deep breath. Yes, that private detective agency. I remember the newspaper article from 6 months ago. A former police officer specializing in missing persons cases. In his eyes, as shown in that article, I saw a strong determination to pursue the truth. He would understand this situation. Carefully placing the photo in my bag, I look once more at April's name. I'll find you, I promise. This time, I'll protect you no matter what. With those words of promise, new hope and anxiety churned violently in my chest. Even after leaving the cemetery, my hands wouldn't stop shaking, and my fingers gripped the steering wheel with painful force. April's message. It was about to change my life dramatically. I took out my smartphone and opened the newspaper article I'd saved 6 months ago. Former detective leads resolution of complex disappearance cases. I entered the detective agency's address into my car's navigation system. The office was located slightly outside the city center. 5th floor of an aging office building. A simple nameplate reading, Tom Riley Detective Agency, was the only indication of what lay behind the door. When I opened it, a faint coffee aroma wafted out. After being shown to the reception room, I waited for 10 minutes. The well-worn leather sofa quietly embraced my tension. The photo in my handbag felt hot enough to burst into flames. "Sorry to keep you waiting." I turned toward the low, calm voice to find a middle-aged man with a gentle expression standing there. Tom Riley. A veteran detective with 15 years of police experience. His deep-set eyes held a sharpness that could see through to the truth. Later, he told me he left the police force because he questioned the limitations of its rigid organization. "May I hear your story in detail?" he asked, offering me a steaming cup of coffee. With trembling hands, I took out the photo and letter from my bag. Every movement was accompanied by deep tension. This might be my last chance. That thought dominated my entire being. "This is a photo of my daughter who went missing 5 years ago," I said, handing over the evidence, which he carefully examined wearing white gloves. "The police declared her dead, but I found this behind her gravestone this morning." My voice shook with tension as I tried to control my emotions. Riley held the photo up to the light, thoroughly examined the glue residue on the envelope, and carefully observed the handwriting. His meticulous work revealed his experience as a former investigator. He chose his words carefully, observing minute details under a special light. "I believe this is my daughter's writing." He nodded deeply at my words. "This case has been bothering me for a while. I've read the investigation records from back then. There are too many unnatural points." My heart raced at his words. Finally, someone understood my suspicions. Contact with Gregory was handled with extreme caution. Direct contact was avoided while Riley began gathering information from the periphery. His investigation methods were thorough. Security camera footage, bank transaction records, phone records. He was approaching the truth from 5 years ago from every angle. There was nothing unnatural about his behavior. However, Riley showed me a photograph. The monitor displayed an image of Gregory talking with a woman. It was surveillance camera footage enhanced through advanced image processing. "This is Vanessa Clark. She joined his company as a subordinate 5 years ago." I caught my breath. Indeed, Gregory's behavior had started to change just before the disappearance, right after she appeared. Perfect appearance and fashion sense. Model-like figure. And a mysterious charm that captivated those around her. Riley's investigation turned toward Vanessa's past. She held yoga instructor credentials and taught alongside her corporate career. Her social media was filled with posts showing a sophisticated lifestyle. But beneath that perfect surface lurked inexplicable shadows. There are regular large deposits to her bank account, separate from her salary. The sources are routed through multiple personal accounts. The file marked "Investigation Report" detailed these unnatural transactions. The money transfer routes were so expertly concealed that even professional eyes would find them difficult to trace. As they unraveled the layers of fake accounts, there was a decisive discovery. Martha Johnson. Vanessa's aunt. She lives with her husband Richard in a small town in Oregon. And their account matches one of the sources of transfers to Vanessa. The monitor showing the investigation results displayed a complex relationship chart. Martha and Richard Johnson were former high school teachers. They appeared to be an ordinary rural couple. However, their bank transactions showed clear abnormalities. Heavy debt. And regular deposits that offset it. 2 hours by car from Salem, Oregon. Maple Grove, a small town with a population of just 2,000. The satellite photos Riley obtained showed a quiet residential area surrounded by forest. And at its center stood an old church. My spine froze when I saw the photo. This church, Caroline. It belongs to the same denomination as the church at April Cemetery. All the dots were starting to connect. The Johnsons' house was right next to the church. Information that they never missed Sunday service. And the place where April left her letter. This couldn't be coincidence. Riley carefully chose his words. Given all the evidence so far, we need FBI cooperation. This is likely an organized crime crossing state lines as a kidnapping case. On his desk, a report for the FBI was already prepared. Detailed evidence photos, transaction records, profiles of those involved. Everything was arranged meticulously. The rescue operation plan was carefully crafted down to the smallest detail. FBI Special Forces, local police, and our team. Every movement had to be perfectly coordinated. One mistake could put April in danger. Sunday service time is the most appropriate timing, Riley said. The operation room's whiteboard showed diagrams of the church and its surroundings. The Johnsons always come to church. We'll simultaneously search their house and protect April. Evidence was checked one by one, and each team's positions were determined. Communication equipment tests, emergency response procedures, standby locations for medical teams. Everything was prepared with worst-case scenarios in mind. We will succeed, Riley's assured voice mixed hope with anxiety. 5 years. The weight of stolen time. And the moment of reunion about to arrive. I closed my eyes deeply, picturing April's smile. Wait for me. We'll be together soon. Morning mist enveloped the town of Maple Grove. 1 hour until the operation began. FBI Special Forces were already positioned around the church. Surveillance of the Johnsons' house had already started. Riley was making final confirmations in the car. Sunday service starts at 9 o'clock. The couple and April usually leave the house at 8:45, the radio whispered quietly. Vanessa Clark's arrival confirmed last night. She's staying at the Johnsons'. My hands were shaking. A reunion after 5 years. But it was too early to feel relieved. 30 minutes until operation start. The clock hands moved cruelly slow. The family heading to church appeared on the surveillance camera. April. A girl in a white dress. The same outfit as in the photo. My heart raced. With the signal, everything moved at once. Special forces surrounded the couple and April heading to church. Simultaneously, another team rushed into the Johnsons' house to secure Vanessa. April was quickly protected by a female FBI agent and taken to a waiting car. The couple was restrained before they could resist. And Vanessa's eyes, as she was led out of the house, showed an abnormal gleam. April. Give me back my precious daughter. Her scream echoed through the town. Her voice dripped with obsessive madness. Everything was over in 10 minutes, exactly as planned. I hurried down the hospital hallway. Under the accompaniment of a psychological counselor, I was permitted to reunite with April. I hesitated for a moment at the private room door. After crossing 5 years of time, this moment felt unreal. Then, hurried footsteps echoed. Caroline. I turned to find Gregory standing there. His appearance was different from what I remembered. Gone was the dignified corporate executive I knew, His shirt was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. "Is it true they found April?" His voice trembled. 5 years ago, our daughter's disappearance led us to choose different paths. He escaped reality by immersing himself in work, while I continued pursuing the truth. That gap eventually grew too wide to bridge. Gregory stopped at the hospital room door. "Do I have the right to see her?" His whisper contained 5 years of regret. Back then, he had hired and promoted Vanessa as his subordinate. The fact that he had unwittingly trusted the woman who took our daughter weighed heavily on him. When we opened the door, we saw a girl sitting by the window. When she turned toward us, time seemed to stop. "Mom." A thin voice. But unmistakably April's voice. Mother and daughter embraced. No words were needed. Only tears flowed as our trembling bodies confirmed each other's existence. April caught her breath slightly when she saw her father. "Dad." At that word, Gregory's dam burst. He knelt before his daughter, choking on his words. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dad couldn't protect you." "It's not your fault, Dad." April's voice was thin but certain. "Vanessa was kind to everyone. She fooled everybody." At those words, tears flowed from all 3 family members. The psychological counselor quietly watched over us. "Let's take our time," she advised, and we nodded. There was no need to rush everything until April's heart was ready. As evening approached, April quietly began to speak. In the soft light streaming through the hospital room window. "Hey, Mom. I need to tell you about that letter." Her voice was thin but held firm resolve. "Actually, I was allowed to go to church every Sunday. Martha and the others always took me to church. And that church, it was next to the grave you built for me." Those words took my breath away. During the service, adults were focused on the sermon, so children could play in the church garden. No one was suspicious. So I used that time to place the letter behind the gravestone. Fear of those memories reflected in April's eyes. But I was scared. If they found out, Vanessa would. Vanessa always threatened me, saying, "If you try to escape, I'll do something to your mother." That's why I couldn't run away. But at least the letter. I wanted Mom to know I was alive. The FBI interrogation revealed the full scope of the incident. Vanessa Clark harbored psychological trauma from failed fertility treatments. This manifested in a distorted way. The crime was meticulously planned. She gained Gregory's trust and established her position within the company. While gathering family information, she took advantage of his late return times to approach April. The kidnapping on the way home from school. Blood and shoes prepared in advance to fake the disappearance by the river. Even her conspiratorial relationship with the Johnsons was systematically built. "I can't have children. But that child, she could be my daughter," Vanessa said during interrogation. Her abnormal obsession with April had begun 2 years earlier. And her intense jealousy toward Caroline developed into the kidnapping plan. The Johnsons' motives were more practical. Heavy debt. A tempting proposal from Vanessa. Establishing a new identity using their experience as former teachers. "She was truly happy with us." Richard Johnson's testimony showed his disconnect from reality. As all the truths came to light, a new determination grew in my heart. We would slowly fill in this 5-year void. April's recovery would still take much time. But I would never let her go again. Gregory, stroking April's hair with trembling hands, vowed never to lose his precious family again. The 5-year void won't be easily filled. But this reunion might be a new beginning. The setting sun through the window gently embraced the 3 of us. Soft spring sunlight streams into the living room. April continues her peaceful conversations with Lisa, her psychological counselor. The twice-weekly sessions gradually heal her emotional wounds. Nights of anxiety waves are still not uncommon. But sleeping in her mother's arms has become the best therapy. "How's the new school?" I ask, and April gives a small nod. "Everyone's kind. The teachers work at my pace too." During the transfer procedures, the principal showed deep understanding. A support system with homeroom teachers and the school nurse was established for her as a student needing special care. My freelance design work is mostly done from home. I meet deadlines while watching over April. Sometimes the schedules are demanding, but my daughter's presence drives me forward. Gregory joins us on weekends. Our initially awkward relationship is gradually changing, centered around April. Family photos at the zoo and aquarium. Smiles while sharing ice cream. New memories are steadily accumulating. The trial attracted significant public attention. Planned kidnapping targeting a child, 5 years of captivity, fabricated family relationships. The media continued reporting on the case's abnormality daily. Vanessa received a 15-year prison sentence. In court, she maintained until the end that she was just protecting my beloved daughter. Her distorted love and obsession became subject to psychiatric evaluation. The Johnsons received 8-year sentences as accomplices. While settlement payments were ordered, given their financial situation, full recovery seems unlikely. Gregory voluntarily increased child support payments. "This is my natural responsibility." After the incident, his attitude changed dramatically. He revised his work-centered lifestyle to prioritize family time. Our family's experience created ripples through society via the media. Consultations from families who suffered similar damage have begun to increase. "Hey, Mom," April spoke up one day with a serious expression. "You know, I want to become a psychological counselor in the future." Those words brought tears to my eyes. She continued, "Like Ms. Lisa, I want to help people who are suffering." That determination showed me a new path as well. Establishing a victim support organization. Support activities for families with similar experiences. Giving back our experience to society. Gregory too has begun exploring ways to provide support from a corporate position. Sunday church visits have now become healing time. The place of painful memories has begun to take on new meaning. April participates in the choir, her clear voice resonating. While watching her, I offer deep prayers of gratitude. And every month on the 15th, we visit the cemetery together. It's no longer a place of sorrow. April smiles while holding her bouquet. "This is the place that delivered my message to Mom." While arranging fresh flowers at the gravestone, we talk together. Accepting everything, past pain and future hope. The evening sun casts gentle shadows on the gravestone, quietly embracing mother and daughter. Tomorrow, a new day will begin.